Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Tanvi Taneja, and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with Chief Ministers of 7 states to review COVID-19 and flood situation. Gap between recovered and active coronavirus cases further increases to over 304,000. Fatality rate falls below 2.5% for the first time. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath instructs for regular meeting of district magistrates, chief medical officers and municipal corporation officers for effective control of pandemic. Central team asks Bihar government to make renewed efforts to contain transmission of coronavirus. Flood situation improves in Assam. Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal says relief measures being taken by the government on a war footing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today had a telephonic conversation with Chief Ministers of 7 states and discussed the COVID-19 and flood situation in respective states. These states are Bihar, Assam, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The Prime Minister, in his interaction with Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy, today inquired about the current COVID-19 situation in the state. The Chief Minister briefed him about the ongoing efforts to contain the spread of the pandemic. In Tamil Nadu, complete lockdown is being observed today for the 3rd consecutive Sunday this July. A report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been told by the State Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy that the testing in the state has reached about 48,000 yesterday. The Chief Minister told him that all-out efforts are being taken in a concerted manner to bring the situation well under control at the earliest. Meanwhile, for the 3rd consecutive Sunday this month, the state is under complete lockdown. All major cities and towns wear a deserted look. The police have taken intensified efforts to monitor vehicular movements on the road. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi called up Assam Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal today and discussed various issues, including the floods, COVID-19 and Baghjan oil well fire. Mr. Sarbanand Sonowal appraised the Prime Minister of the prevailing conditions and measures being taken by the Assam government. The Prime Minister assured all help to Assam to tackle the situation. In Assam, the flood situation in the state has improved today. However, 25 lakh people are still reeling under the fury of floods in 25 districts. The death toll due to floods has gone up to 84. A report.
Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal has visited Mayong Revenue Circle at Morigao district today to assess the flood situation. He took a boat ride along with 2 ministers, Keshav Mahanta and Piyush Hazarika. The Chief Minister has also met people at relief camp. The Chief Minister said that relief measures are being taken by the government in a war-footing manner. Meanwhile, the Information and Public Relations Department has detected a fake post in social media today which claimed that government has no fund to help people during flood and citizens could only help them. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Guwahati.
In Assam, inter-district movement of individuals will be barred from Wednesday, 22nd of July in the state to prevent the spread of COVID-19 until further orders. Chief Secretary Kumar Sanjay Krishna said that for medical and last ride emergencies, movement will be allowed only with written permission from the Deputy Commissioner of the originating district. He said that movement of goods will be continued. The Unlock 1 will come into force at Kamrup Metro District, including Guwahati, from 7 p.m. tonight to 2nd of August with various relaxations. Arunachal Pradesh government has extended complete lockdown in the Itanagar Capital Complex region till the 3rd of August. This was informed by State Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar in a virtual press conference today. Mr. Kumar said that the decision has been taken in view of the surge in COVID cases in the capital in the last 2 weeks. Arunachal Pradesh has recorded 650 COVID-positive cases as of now, out of which active cases stand at 373. 274 have recovered and 3 have died.
Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harshvardhan, today inaugurated a plasma donation campaign jointly organized by Delhi Police and AIIMS, New Delhi. 26 police personnel donated plasma during the campaign today. Terming the plasma donors as plasma warriors, the minister said plasma donation will develop as a movement in the country and it will have far-reaching effects. While inaugurating the plasma donation campaign, he said anyone who has recovered from coronavirus can donate plasma twice in a month. Appreciating the role of the police personnel for donating plasma, he said their contribution will inspire others to come forward and join this movement. He said the plasma trial has been conducted on 452 patients in 60 centers and the data analysis is underway. He informed that there is no harm in giving plasma to patients. He praised the role of Corona warriors for playing an important role in containing the spread of coronavirus. Dr. Harshvardhan said the country is performing well in terms of recovery rate and fatality rate. He said the recovery rate in the country is at around 63%.
The government today said the gap between recovered patients and active COVID-19 cases has further increased to over 304,000. The total number of recovered cases has reached 6,77,422. Union Health Ministry said effective clinical management of the moderate and severe cases through a well-executed standard of care protocol has ensured high rate of recovery among COVID-19 patients. The last 24 hours saw a sharp increase of 23,672 COVID patients recovering. The recovery rate has now reached 62.86%. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 3,73,379. The ministry said the country's testing infrastructure has been substantially ramped up. The testing strategy prescribed by ICMR allows all registered medical practitioners to recommend testing. During the last 24 hours, 3,58,127 samples have been tested. The government today said that India's case fatality rate of COVID-19 falls below 2.5% for the first time. The Union Health Ministry said India has one of the lowest fatality rates in the world. It said due to the focused efforts of centre and state and union territories governments on efficient clinical management of hospitalized cases have ensured that the case fatality rate falls to 2.49%. The ministry said with effective containment strategy, aggressive testing and standardized clinical management protocols based on holistic standard of care approach, the case fatality rate has significantly dipped. Under the guidance of the centre, the state and UT governments have ramped up the testing and hospital infrastructure by combining public and private sector efforts. Many states have conducted the population surveys to map and identify vulnerable population like the elderly, pregnant women and those with comorbidities. The Health Ministry said at the ground level, frontline health workers like ASHAs and ANMs have done a commendable job of managing the migrant population and to enhance awareness at the community level. As a result, there are 29 states and UTs with case fatality rate lower than the national average. 5 states and UTs have a zero case fatality rate, while 14 states and UTs have a case fatality rate of less than 1%.
In Bihar, the central team today reviewed the prevailing COVID-19 situation in the state. The 3-member team, led by Joint Secretary in Health and Family Welfare Ministry, Mr. Love Agarwal, held discussions with Chief Secretary and top health officials of the state government on various aspects of the COVID situation. They provided necessary support and guidance to the health authorities in the state. Other members of the team are National Centre for Disease Control Director Dr. S.K. Singh and Associate Professor at AIIMS New Delhi Dr. Neeraj Nischal. The central team visited containment zones of Patna to oversee measures taken by authorities to contain the pandemic. The team has asked the state government to make renewed efforts to contain transmission of the virus. The Joint Secretary in Health and Family Welfare Ministry has emphasized that restrictions should be utilized to focus on containment, surveillance and testing in containment and buffer zones as the key strategy for early detection of cases and fatality management. Mr. Agarwal asked them to ensure that at least 80% of new cases have their close contacts traced and are in quarantine within 72 hours of case confirmation. Discussion on testing, containment zones and hotspots were also held. The central team will visit Gaya to assess the situation. The team will also visit COVID hospital. Corona positive cases in the state have mounted to 26,379 with the reporting of 1,412 fresh cases. 16,537 patients have recovered so far. 208 people have died due to coronavirus so far. The recovery rate in Bihar has reached 63%. In our series Expert Speak on All India Radio, we bring you views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Speaking to AIR News, Dr. Saurabh Mehrotra, consultant at Mental Health Division in Medanta Hospital, emphasized that people should indulge in positive activities.
Positive addictions would include the creative arts, such as drawing, writing, painting, qualify as positive addictions. Music is positive addictions. People who are interested in dancing, that's a positive addiction. Playing a game with family members has the beneficial effect of both the social interaction as well as the fun of the game. Some people like to do gardening, some people like to do cooking. All of these qualify as positive addictions and have a significant benefit in reducing the stress. Then social connection is very important.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with chief ministers of 7 states to review COVID-19 and flood situation. Gap between recovered and active coronavirus cases further increases to over 304,000. Fatality rate falls below 2.5% for the first time. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath instructs for regular meeting of district magistrates, chief medical officers and municipal corporation officers for effective control of the pandemic. Central team asks Bihar government to make renewed efforts to contain transmission of virus, and flood situation improves in Assam. Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal says relief measures being taken by the government on a war footing. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
A total of 1,211 new confirmed cases of coronavirus have been reported in Delhi during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 1,22,793. Delhi government has confirmed that over 1,03,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 1,860 people recovered and 31 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 3,628. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the national capital stands at 16,031. In Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has instructed for regular meeting of district magistrates, district police heads, chief medical officers and municipal corporation officers, including others, to control the infection of COVID-19. He said that corona infection can be contained by making effective work plan. The Chief Minister was reviewing a high-level meeting on COVID-19 situation today at Lucknow. The Chief Minister said that by door-to-door medical surveys, contact tracing, effective surveillance and more rapid antigen testing, COVID death rate can be decreased effectively. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
After getting 2,250 new cases, the total number of corona cases in the state has reached 50,351. Additional Chief Secretary Health Amit Mohan Prasad, while addressing media at Lucknow today, said that there are 18,256 active cases in the state. 392 new cases were detected in Lucknow district during the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, Additional Chief Secretary Home Avnish Awasthi said that restrictions in wake of COVID-19 are being strictly followed, and as of now, 1,21,948 FIRs have been lodged, booking 2,78,209 people under Section 188 in the state since the start of lockdown. MS Yadav, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Gujarat, 3 diamond units in Varacha area of Surat have been shut down by the Surat Municipal Corporation SMC for violating the Standard Operating Procedure guidelines. According to municipal corporation sources, 9 other units have been penalized for not following social distancing and compulsorily wearing face masks on Saturday. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
According to sources, the diamond factories in Varacha, including Sriji Gems, RK Industry and Gemini Exports, were shut after violating the social distancing norms. The civic officials found more than one diamond worker working on the emery wheel used for cutting and polishing the diamonds. 9 other diamond factories, including 6 units in Varacha and 3 units in Katargam, were penalized as per the government norms. Meanwhile, the Daudi Wohra community in Surat has set up a 50-bed community COVID isolation center at Zampa Bazar. This is the 9th community COVID isolation center in the city with a total capacity of 800 beds. Surat has recorded 203 new cases during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases in the city to 8,310. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
Karnataka has reported 4,120 new COVID cases and 91 deaths in the past 24 hours. The total number of positive cases has reached 63,772, and out of these, 23,065 people have been discharged after recovery. The state has a recovery rate of 36% and a mortality rate of 2.8%. Bangalore has reported 2,156 new cases today and 36 deaths. The state government has issued a government order today directing private medical institutions in Bangalore to reserve 50% of their beds for COVID-19 patients and to provide treatment at rates stipulated by the government. Quoting relevant provisions of the Disaster Management Act, the government has directed in charge of private hospitals to make available resources of hospital beds for the purpose of admitting COVID patients referred by the Bangalore Mahanagarapalike authorized persons. The government has also appointed senior officers to ensure that private medical institutions strictly adhere to this order issued today. In the Union Territory of Puducherry, the recovery rate of COVID-19 has increased to 57.72%, while the mortality rate is at 1.4%. According to the COVID status report released by the Puducherry Health Department, 109 people tested positive for the virus today. As many as 92 people were discharged in the past 24 hours after recovery. So far, 1,999 people were infected by the virus, of which 1,154 were treated and discharged. 28 people lost their lives due to the virus. 817 people are under treatment. Kerala reports highest single-day surge in COVID-19 cases with 821 people testing positive for the virus today. More on this from our correspondent.
Out of the new cases, 629 persons contracted the disease through contact. The state also reported 2 deaths due to COVID, each in Kasaragod and Ernakulam districts, taking the death toll in the state to 42. Thiruvananthapuram continued to report the highest number of cases with 222 new COVID cases, among which 203 cases are through local transmission. Meanwhile, 172 patients have recovered from the disease in the last 24 hours. Presently, 7,063 active COVID cases are there in Kerala. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, in view of rising COVID cases, Lieutenant Governor Girish Chandra Murmu has urged the religious leaders to play a crucial role in bringing about a conscientious behavioral change among their followers by reaching out to them. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
Taking note of the highest spike in the positive cases in Kashmir Valley, Lieutenant Governor G.C. Murmu has underlined the importance of taking strict and effective measures to ensure the safety of the people amid the unprecedented crisis. He has asked the religious heads of various faiths across Kashmir Valley to facilitate awareness and encourage people to take all the precautionary measures and follow the SOPs issued by the government to prevent the transmission of the disease. He advised them to utilize the potent media tools like social media, print and electronic to spread the awareness messages. He further asked them to encourage the people to participate and cooperate with the government, take immunity boosters for self-care and install Arogya Setu app, besides adopting the practice of stay at home, pray at home during the COVID-19 crisis. Sunil Kohl, AR News, Srinagar.
Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Girish Chandra Murmu appealed to people of the Union Territory to take all precautionary measures to contain the spread of coronavirus.
इस परिस्थिति में मैं आप सबको अपील करना चाहूंगा, इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ जान माल को सुरक्षित रखना सभी का कर्तव्य है। भारत सरकार के ओर से समय समय पे दिए गए सूचना के हिसाब से हम लोग गाइडलाइन जनता के समक्ष रखते हैं, खुद ही अपने आप को इस संक्रमण से बचा सकते हैं। इसीलिए मेरी अपील है कि जब पब्लिक प्लेसेस में आप बाहर निकलते हो, मास्क अवश्य उपयोग करें और सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का जो गाइडलाइन है उसको फॉलो करें।
COVID-19 has claimed 6 more lives in Jammu and Kashmir, taking the death toll to 244 in the UT. These include 5 patients from Kashmir Valley and 1 from Rajouri district in Jammu division. The total number of affected people has reached 13,198 in Jammu and Kashmir. Out of them, 5,797 are under treatment and 7,165 have recovered so far. Bangladesh reported 37 more deaths due to coronavirus infection and 2,459 fresh infection cases over the last 24 hours since Saturday afternoon. Briefing media virtually, Additional Director General of Directorate General of Health Services, DGHS, Dr. Nasima Sultana informed that the death toll in the country has now gone up to 2,618. The total number of infected people in the country stands at 2,04,524, which shows an infection rate of about 20% among the people tested for coronavirus infection. The recovery rate in the country has slowly gone up to 54.59%. The official news agency BSS reported that Bangladesh Medical Research Council BMRC today granted ethical approval for the final phase 3 human trial of a COVID-19 vaccine being developed by a Chinese private sector company, Sinovac Biotech Limited. Director of the BMRC, Dr. Mahmood Uz-Jahan, told BSS that clinical trials will be conducted on healthcare professionals at 7 designated hospitals in Dhaka. However, he said that the approval will further require endorsement from the Directorate General of Health Services.
Back home, in yet another ceasefire violation, Pak Army initiated unprovoked and indiscriminate firing with small arms and heavy mortar shelling along the LOC in Sundarbani sector of district Rajouri today. PRO Defence Colonel Devinder Anand has said that Pak Army initiated unprovoked and indiscriminate firing and heavy mortar shelling along the LOC in Sundarbani sector of Rajouri district today evening at about 7:15 p.m. He said Pak Army initiated unprovoked ceasefire violation by firing with small arms and thereafter heavy mortar shelling along the LOC in Sundarbani sector of Rajouri district. Alert Indian Army troops guarding the fence are retaliating befittingly with equal caliber. Exchange of fire was on when reports last came in. The PRO said there are no reports of damage to property or loss to life from our side so far. Details are awaited. The Jammu and Kashmir government has clarified that reports in a section of media that its decision on regulating construction in strategic areas for armed forces for their operational requirements has nothing to do with the transfer of any land to the armed forces. It has termed the media reports and comments of some political parties as baseless. People are being misled as if land is being transferred to armed forces and entire Jammu and Kashmir is being turned into a military establishment. It has also dismissed the allegation that new areas are going to be declared as strategic, where laws regulating development will not prevail. The Union Territory government has said these comments are being made without reading facts. It added that the transfer of land, both acquisition or requisitions, continued to be governed by the existing law.
The central government has accorded high priority to the welfare of farmers and has taken several steps to achieve the target of doubling their income. Recently, the Narendra Modi-led government promulgated 3 ordinances in the interest of farmers. The government brought the Farming Produce, Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Ordinance 2020 or the FPTC Ordinance with an aim to create an ecosystem where the farmers and traders enjoy freedom of choice of sale and purchase of their agri-produce. The ordinance basically aims at creating additional trading opportunities outside the Agricultural Produce Market Committee APMC market yards to help farmers get remunerative prices due to additional competition. The second ordinance is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Ordinance 2020 or the FAPAFS Ordinance. It aims at empowering farmers for engaging with processors, aggregators, wholesalers, large retailers and exporters on a level playing field without any fear of exploitation. It will transfer the risk of market unpredictability from the farmer to the sponsor and also enable the farmer to access modern technology and better inputs. It will reduce the cost of marketing and improve income of farmers. The third ordinance is related to the amendment to Essential Commodities Act, removing commodities like cereals, pulses, oilseeds, edible oils, onions and potatoes from the list of essential commodities. Talking exclusively to AIR News, Member Agriculture Niti Aayog Ramesh Chand said these ordinances in the agriculture sector will ensure that farmers get remunerative prices and their income grows at a faster rate.
And purpose of all these three ordinances is to ensure that farmers get competitive price and remunerative price and their income from farming grows at a faster rate.
Our correspondent has filed this report.
These three landmark decisions will bring reforms in agriculture marketing and commodities trade. The SPTC ordinance aims at ending the monopoly of APMC and allow anyone to purchase and sell agricultural produce. The ordinance related to farm services has been brought with a view to legalize contract farming so that vast area of land can be cultivated on contract. The amendment to the Essential Commodities Act is a visionary step towards transformation of agriculture and raising farmers' income. It will help drive up investment in cold storages and modernization of food supply chain. The amendment will help both farmers and consumers while bringing in price stability. With Dipendra Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
Union Environment and Information and Broadcasting Minister Mr. Prakash Javadekar hailed the Kurma mobile application as a unique tool for tracking and reporting Indian turtles. Commending the unique approach, he said such initiatives highlight the vital role of citizen participation towards conservation of the rich flora and fauna of the country. The mobile application Kurma was launched on 23rd of May this year on the occasion of World Turtle Day. The Citizen Science Initiative aims at conservation of turtles and tortoises. The mobile application has been developed by the Indian Turtle Conservation Action Network, ITCAN, in collaboration with the Turtle Survival Alliance India and Wildlife Conservation Society India. It provides users a database to identify a species and also provides the location of the nearest rescue centers for turtles across the country.
India Business Council will host the 2020 India Ideas Summit on July 22nd. The summit convenes business and government leaders for discussions on the future of the US-India partnership and the trends shaping globalization, trade and investment and the future of work in the COVID era and beyond. The summit will feature a high-powered lineup of both public and private sector speakers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will deliver the keynote addresses. Prime Minister Narendra Modi continues to be the world's top favourite leader on Twitter with 60 million followers. Prime Minister's Twitter account surpassed the 60 million mark today, reaffirming him as the most followed Indian leader across the globe. He is also among the few global leaders after former US President Barack Obama and his successor Donald Trump to cross the 60 million mark in terms of followers. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. It will have a minimum temperature of around 26 degrees Celsius and maximum of 35 degrees. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature will be 24, maximum temperature will be around 31. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. The temperature will hover between 26 and 32 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature in the metropolis will be around 28 while maximum will be 34. On to north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 26 in Jammu while maximum will be around 34. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be around 20 while maximum will be 32. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 18 and 34. It will see a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. In Muzaffarabad, there will be a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. It will have a minimum temperature of 24 while maximum temperature will be around 36. And now, before we end the bulletin, here are the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with Chief Ministers of 7 states to review COVID-19 and flood situation. Gap between recovered and active coronavirus cases further increases to over 304,000. Fatality rate falls below 2.5% for the first time. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath instructs for regular meeting of district magistrates, chief medical officers and municipal corporation officers for effective control of pandemic. Central team asks Bihar government to make renewed efforts to contain the transmission of coronavirus. Flood situation improves in Assam. Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal says relief measures being taken by the government on a war footing. And for details of these stories and more, you can log on to our website www.newsonair.com. And that is all in the evening news. Good night.